They say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. My name is Rinji Stella. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a place where I'm going to take you really through my life on the things that I'm very, very passionate about, like travel, everything there in between. So welcome. If it's your first time here, I hope you will consider to subscribe, to like, share, and leave a comment so that you can let me know on some of the thoughts that you have for what I've been able to share with you. I know that I've been on and off on this platform, but this could be a new era where things are going to turn around, and that is a promise more so to myself more than to you. In the beginning, I told you about how a journey starts with 1,000 miles, a journey of 1,000 miles apparently, starting with one step. Today, I wanted to tell you about my first step, my one step. And I think it makes much more sense to me if I start from the beginning. When I was young, we lived behind the airport in Kigali. We lived behind it, and every once in a while, we used to run back to the back gates, and we didn't see much, but we knew it was the airport. We always got to see the airplanes like so up close and personal while they were landing and also taking off. And I remember at that young age thinking to myself, you know what? I would actually want to sit in that thing one day. I want to travel the world. I want to see what's out there. And over the years, I've been able to see much of my country. Yes, I've been to probably 80% of Uganda. I've been to Kigali. Yes, last year I told you guys how that was a major, major trip for me. I've been to Nairobi in about 2017, a few years ago. Then I've been to, one time I crossed the border to Congo. There are about really the outskirts of Congo that I don't even think Congo believes it owns. So I haven't really seen much of this world, even when I always said that, you know what, one day I'll travel the world, up until now. Guys, finally, for the very first time, I got to do my own international trip. I sat on an international flight for the very first time. And I hear my inner kid still scream like, whoa, it finally happened. And so that's the story I want to tell you about. How did it happen? Why? How? Who? Where did I go? All that today. So it started like any other Monday. I don't even remember the day that I got to make up my mind to go to where I went. But I remember that this year, every single year during my leave, I get to go somewhere. And up until now, it has always been within my country. I check out different lodges that we sell because I'm a tour consultant. I go to different things. I try activities here and there. So this year, my plan was I'm going to go through Bukakata, go into Tanzania, get to Zanzibar, and then also Dar es Salaam as well, Dodoma. I wanted to travel by road, go to Tanzania, come back through Kenya, en route Mombasa, and then back to Uganda. So that was my plan. Until someone said, hey, guess what? You've been saying you have not taken a flight before. How about you consider that? I'm like, really? How is it possible? And yes, it was. So I started by applying for the visa. So this particular country that I went to, you need a handwritten and hand-delivered invite for you if you need to be invited. If it's not a tourist visa or a student visa, you need that invitation, you need it by hand. So when this person was traveling, I hadn't yet gotten my leave days, so it couldn't be possible until actually the embassy came through and sent the invite. So I went to the embassy to be able to pay for my visa, and I found out the fees. So they have this thing. If you want the express visa, it's about 590,000. So in dollars, that could be about 200 or 250 dollars, thereabout, $200 thereabout. So I decided to invest in that even when I didn't know whether they would actually allow. I invested in it. And I remember when I went to drop my papers, my application at the embassy, they were first rejected. They're like, no, we do not have we don't want an electric invitation. We want something handwritten, and then we can attach that. Guys, I started to panic. Here I was with my money already deposited in the bank. All I needed was to hand over that application for my visa. But turns out they had already received it from the embassy, so that was quite easy. And then I had paid for the express one. 2 days later, I was told, I'd come back on Thursday, you'd be able to get it. And guys, when I got my visa, first of all, I didn't know what a visa looked like. Like, this was a whole new territory for me, because all the countries that I have been to, they are within the East African community. So that means you don't really need to check a lot. As long as you have your national ID, you're good to go. So this was the first time seeing what a visa looks like. It was attached in my passport. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is happening. So I think all through and through, I still couldn't believe this was going to happen. So I had to get into the flights as well. Now, getting onto the flights, I wanted the cheapest, but not too cheap as well. So the options were either Qatar. I looked at Qatar and it was quite expensive. I couldn't afford. And then I went for Turkish. Now, I went for Turkish because of its timing. It was good. I loved the timing of it all. But also, I went for Turkish because of the price. And guys, after settling on Turkish, booking it and all, when I went online to read about Turkish, they were all bad reviews. I looked for a good review. I couldn't find one. I'm like, whoa. What did I just do? Because I had already paid, I had already settled on it. I'm like, I'll go with Turkish. And that was my first praying point. I started praying for my journey, but praying for the flight as well. I'm like, God, I need this to go so well. So I did not tell so many people that I was traveling because, like I have said, I think in my mind, I couldn't believe it until I was there. Everything was happening so quickly, and God was really merciful that it was a smooth drive. But to me, I couldn't believe that I was doing this. So comes the day of my flight. It was a Thursday. I remember I went to work. It was like a normal day. I had asked for my leave days. My leave days had to start on Friday. So this Thursday, I went to work, and trust me, I did not work that day. Trust me. Like, my mind I was so quiet. Like, it was surreal to me. I was being humbled in the moment. I'm like, if all goes well, by this time tomorrow, I'm going to be in another country. So I kept on just, to myself. I wasn't interacting a lot. And everyone kept on saying, Stella, what's up? What's up? I'm like, no, nothing. But in real sense, I was just trying to breathe in, take in the moment. Like, really, even then, it was like it was not happening. So at the end of my shift that day, when 5:30 clicked, I closed my laptop. I'm like, guys, bye. I'm off for my leave. I could not wait. I went home. I hadn't yet even finished packing meanwhile. So I rushed back home. Oh, I had to first go do, I think, my eyebrows or something. So I went home. I did all those last minute things that I had to put together. And then a friend of mine had actually decided to drop me at the airport. Turkish gets into Uganda past midnight. So a friend of mine took me to the airport to drop me. And I remember in the waiting area, I just couldn't believe it. Even the whole pushing the bag, the scrolling of it, all that bag, every moment I took in, I could not believe it. So of course, when you get in, they weigh, someone helps you weigh, and then they seal it around so that it's not cracked or anything. So they seal it around and all that. I'm just calling the Holy Spirit. I'm like, God, help me so that this goes well. So I went in, I checked in for my flight. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a window seat, but on my connecting flight, I think they were able to get me a window seat. So guys, I went to the immigration. I wasn't even asked anything, honestly. A stamp in, my very first stamp in my passport, and on I was ready for it. So one thing I've not told you, one of the things that you are advised is to have money on you. You must have cash on you. I did not have. In the days leading up to, I didn't have much. I had already spent on the visa, the flight, and everything. So I did not have much. So I didn't have money on me. So I get into the airport, I sat there, and I remember taking a few pics of myself and just sitting in the moment, looking at everything because it was quite new. I was hearing the announcements that were going on the speaker where they called up different flights until mine came on and I was on the plane. It's my first time boarding a flight. Thank you, Jesus. I remember sitting, so the plane that I was seated on had three passengers on one part, and then on the other two passengers, I believe. Yeah, so I was on the part of three passengers. I was seated with two people from Kigali. For them, they were coming from Kigali, and I was coming from Rwanda. And on that flight, there are so many Ugandans, different people connecting to different places. And guess what? I was the only one who was going in the part of Europe that I was going in. So I'll be letting you know where. So on the plane, my highlight there must have been the toilet, like standing up to go to the toilet. I know this is silly, but guys, first of all, I first sat for like 1 or 2 hours and I didn't move. And in that moment, like there's a screen ahead of me, I can watch a movie. But for me, I was just taking it in. I'm like, I'm on a plane. Or in Luganda, for those who understand the local language, I could not believe it. So for 1 or 2 hours, I was just seated still. So, of course, I started seeing people walk around, and of course, the flight attendants giving us what are they? The blankets, giving us different things to help us through the journey. And every moment for me, I was just, whoa, this is happening. Whoa, it's like a kid in a candy shop. I just couldn't believe it all. And I remember thinking to myself when I finally stood, like I was so scared. I'm like, what if I stand and then the weight of it all, I add on more weight on two, and then we have, like, it was a whole thing. But I finally stood. I took my first steps into the plane and then I went to the toilet. Guys, I did not even want to use it. All I wanted was to see it. And it's this tiny thing in the corner. You get in there, there's a lot of, the do's and don'ts of it all. I opened the tap. Everything was fascinating. I flushed. To me, I don't remember seeing water. Someone said there's water, but for me, it felt like air. The air just snoops it out. So for me, it was so exciting. And then also the other thing on the plane was the captain. So the captain, whenever they want to announce something or tell you about something that's happening, especially when you're about to land or something like that. So it starts very well. Ladies and gentlemen, your captain speaking, those ones you can hear. And then he starts, like, you don't hear anything. The last thing I hear is your captain speaking. Anything else, you don't hear anything. So in my mind, I was like, I guess the captain is saying we are safe and we will arrive safely and all that. But also the fact that you can actually monitor your journey on the screen. That was a surreal thing for me. And then also the other thing I remember at around 6 a.m. they were serving us our breakfast. And I didn't know. I saw people all pull out the tray where you're supposed to lay your meals, and I didn't know, so I had to peep around to see where are people getting that thing from, until I figured it out. The plane was amazing. Sitting, listen, the thing is, I just came to say God has been good. That is it. Because for me, I have no complaints. The plane was so nice. Everything went on so well up until we go to Istanbul. Honestly, I will never forget Istanbul, because what was that? So we get there. I had a layover of 2 hours. So it was about me arriving and running to my next flight. So, guys, when I got to Istanbul, this airport is so big, but beyond big, it's beautiful, very, very beautiful. So I remember getting on there and then trying to rush through. So I asked people, first of all, my flight was not displayed until much later. And then when it was displayed, I think I had more like 30 minutes to get there. So getting onto, I started looking for my gate. I could not find my gate. Guys, I was panting, sweating, cursing. I couldn't find my gate. Like, I could see it was F14. Will I even ever forget that number? Maybe not. It was F14. You see F directed a certain way. I went to that direction and ended up to the toilet. I had to change and look for. And I remember thinking to myself, why don't I give up? Why don't I just stay here? I mean, like, what is this? At least in the books, it has gone in. I've taken a flight. I've taken my international flight. So that will be, but I had to keep going. And I remember just asking people around, but you know, everyone is focused, moving along, moving along, moving along. So until I actually found it. So when I found it, it was, whoa, yeah. Eh, a whole line of white people. Guys, there was no one who looked slightly like me. So I got onto there, checked in for my connecting flight to, are you ready? Moscow. Yes, guys, I went all the way from Uganda. 14 hours later, I was in Moscow.